Dad perfect events. The bank manager's hand started shaking the moment he inserted my father's old card into the machine. For a second, he just stared at the screen. Then he looked at me like he'd seen a ghost. "Sir," he whispered, "do you have any idea what you own?" I sat there confused because just 1 hour earlier, I'd been a 58-year-old man sitting in a lawyer's office, learning my wife of 35 years wanted to take everything I had. My name is Albert Mitchell. Most people call me Al now. I used to be an engineer before I retired early to take care of my dying father. People think I've had it easy, but they don't know the truth. They don't know how close I came to losing everything, and they definitely don't know what happened after that banker looked at my father's card. To understand how I ended up in that bank chair, staring at a man who suddenly treated me like royalty, we need to go back to the day my wife decided I was worthless. That morning started normal enough. I was making coffee in our kitchen when Patricia walked in, all dressed up for work. Patricia Mitchell was a respected woman in our town. Marketing director, sharp dresser, confident smile. At 55, she still turned heads when she walked into her room. But behind closed doors, Patricia had changed over the years. The woman I married 35 years ago had slowly disappeared, and the woman who replaced her was cold. "Albert," she said without even looking at me, "we need to talk." Those 4 words can make any husband nervous. I set down my coffee cup and turned to face her. The morning light came through our kitchen window, hitting the marble countertops Patricia had insisted on installing last year. She said they made the house look more professional. Patricia finally looked at me, but the look in her eyes wasn't the look of a wife speaking to her husband. It was the look of a woman talking to a stranger. "I want a divorce," she said calmly. The kitchen went silent except for the hum of our refrigerator. I laughed a little because I honestly thought it was a joke. "You're funny this morning, Pat," but she didn't laugh back. Her face stayed stone serious. "I'm serious, Albert." My hands started to shake. 35 years of marriage, 2 kids, a house we built together from the ground up. And she said it like she was canceling a dentist appointment. "Why, Patricia?" My voice came out smaller than I wanted. "Because I want a different life," she answered. That was it. No apology, no explanation, no mention of the decades we'd spent together. Just a different life. Later that afternoon, I learned what she meant. His name was Nathan Pierce. Nathan was 35 years old, worked as a business consultant, had perfect hair and a smile that always seemed fake to me. When he walked into our house that evening beside my wife, I felt something break inside my chest. He looked around our living room like he was inspecting a hotel room, checking out the leather furniture, the family photos on the mantle, the engineering awards I'd won over the years. "Nice place," he said, running his hand along our oak dining table. Patricia nodded proudly. "It'll be ours soon." I stared at both of them. "Ours?" The word came out like a croak. Patricia spoke to me in a patient voice like she was talking to a child. "The divorce papers are ready, Albert. The house is in both our names, but my lawyer says I have a strong case. The business accounts are under my control. You'll need to move out by the end of the week." The end of the week. 35 years of marriage, and I had 7 days to disappear. I felt dizzy standing there in my own living room, looking at my own wife with another man. But the worst part wasn't losing the house. It was my own kids. My son Carl stood behind Patricia in the doorway. Carl worked as operations manager at Harper Engineering, the company my father had started decades ago. Carl was 30 now, tall like me, but he had his mother's sharp features. He didn't look at me. He stared at the hardwood floor we'd installed together when he was in high school. "Dad, maybe Mom's right about this," he said quietly. Those words hurt more than the divorce papers. Maybe Mom's right. I'd coached his little league team every weekend for 6 years. I'd taught him to drive in the empty parking lot behind the grocery store. I'd paid for his college education, stayed up nights helping him with his engineering homework, and now he couldn't even look me in the eyes. My daughter Sarah had already moved to Denver for her new job as a nurse. She was 28, had always been Daddy's little girl growing up. She called later that night. When word got around the family, I could hear her crying on the phone, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I can't believe Mom's doing this." But even Sarah, sweet as she was, couldn't offer to help. She had her own life now, her own problems, her own bills to pay. Patricia cleared her throat, bringing my attention back to the living room. "Albert, please pack your things." Nathan walked past me toward the kitchen like he already owned the place, opening our refrigerator and grabbing a beer. My beer. I stood there frozen for a moment, then quietly walked upstairs to the bedroom Patricia and I had shared for over 3 decades. I packed one suitcase slowly, trying to process what was happening. Clothes, family photos, my father's old pocket watch, and a small wooden box my father gave me before he died. The box sat on my dresser, dusty from years of not being touched. My father was Leonard Harper, a quiet man who'd built Harper Engineering from absolutely nothing. He started with just a small garage and a dream of making better construction equipment. He worked hard his whole life, grease permanently under his fingernails, oil stains on his work boots. But his eyes were always kind and gentle. Before he passed away 5 years ago, he handed me that little wooden box during one of our last conversations in the hospital. Inside was a plain silver card, no decorations, no fancy design. Use this only if you truly need it, he told me, his voice weak from the cancer treatments. I'd never used it. Not once. I didn't even really understand what it was for. My father had always been secretive about his finances, said it wasn't important for me to worry about money as long as I had a good job and treated people right. That night, as I closed my suitcase in the bedroom that had been mine for 35 years, I took the card out and looked at it under the lamp. It was old, worn around the edges, no bank name visible, no numbers printed on the front, just my name engraved in small, simple letters. Albert Harper Mitchell. I slipped the card into my wallet, figuring it couldn't hurt to have it, just in case. Downstairs, I could hear Patricia and Nathan talking and laughing in the kitchen. The sound of wine glasses clinking, the refrigerator door opening and closing. Nathan was making himself completely at home, probably planning which of my tools in the garage he'd want to keep and which ones he'd sell. I carried my suitcase to the front door, the same door I'd walked through thousands of times coming home from work, coming home from Carl's baseball games, coming home from family vacations. Patricia barely looked up from her wine when I passed through the living room. "Good luck, Albert," she said, not even bothering to sound sincere. Those were the last words she spoke to the man who'd spent nearly 4 decades beside her, who'd held her hand during both childbirths, who'd worked overtime for years to pay for the house she was now giving to another man. I stepped outside into the cool evening air. The front door closed behind me with a soft click, and just like that, I was homeless. The sound seemed to echo in the quiet neighborhood where we'd raised our children, where I'd mowed the lawn every Saturday morning for 20 years, where neighbors still waved when they saw me working in the garage. I walked slowly to my pickup truck, an old Ford I'd bought used and kept running with my own hands. The suitcase went in the back seat, and I sat behind the wheel for a while, trying to figure out what to do next. For the first time in 35 years, I had no home, no wife, no clear plan, and very little money. I opened my wallet and counted the bills inside, $127. That's what 35 years of marriage had come down to, $127 in an old pickup truck. I drove to the Motel 6 on the edge of town and rented a room for the week. The place smelled like cleaning chemicals and old cigarettes. The bed was hard, the TV only got 3 channels, and the air conditioning unit made a rattling sound all night. But it was mine, at least temporarily, and nobody could take it away from me. For 3 days, I barely left that motel room. I ordered pizza, watched old movies, and tried to understand how my life had fallen apart so completely. Patricia had been distant for months, working late, taking business trips I never heard much about, but I'd figured it was just stress from her job. I never imagined she was planning to replace me entirely. On the 4th day, I finally worked up the courage to call my son Carl. He answered on the 3rd ring, sounding uncomfortable. "Dad, how are you holding up?" I told him I was fine, staying in a motel, looking for an apartment. There was a long silence before he spoke again. "Dad, I think you should know something. Mom's been talking about selling the house and moving Nathan in permanently. And there's something else." My stomach dropped. "What else, son?" Carl's voice got quieter, like he was afraid someone might overhear. "She's been meeting with people about Harper Engineering. Nathan's been asking a lot of questions about the company, about the client list, about the financial situation. I think they're planning something, Harper Engineering, my father's company. The company where Carl worked, where I'd spent summers as a teenager learning the business, where my father had taught me that honest work was the foundation of a good life. What kind of planning, Carl?" But my son didn't have details, just a feeling that something wasn't right. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my father, about the company he'd built from nothing, about the silver cards sitting in my wallet. Leonard Harper had been a simple man, but he wasn't stupid. He'd started with a small garage and built Harper Engineering into a company that employed dozens of people and made equipment that was shipped across 3 states. Maybe there was more to that card than I understood. The next morning, I made a decision. I walked into First National Bank downtown, the big building with marble floors and tall windows where important people did important business. I'd never felt comfortable in places like that, always felt like they could tell I was just a working man in clean clothes. But I walked up to the front desk anyway. "Excuse me," I said to the young woman behind the counter. "I'd like to check the balance on this account." I handed her my father's silver card, half expecting her to tell me it was worthless. Maybe some kind of old membership card to a club that didn't exist anymore. She looked at the card carefully, turning it over in her hands. "This card is unusual," she said, frowning slightly. "Let me get a manager." She picked up her phone and spoke quietly to someone, then hung up. Mr. Bradley will be right with you, Mr. Bradley turned out to be a tall man with gray hair and a serious expression, wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than I made in a month back when I was working. He took the card from the clerk and examined it closely under the light. Sir, he asked politely, where did you get this card? My father gave it to me, I answered honestly. Leonard Harper, he passed away about 5 years ago. Mr. Bradley's expression changed immediately when he heard my father's name. His eyes widened slightly and he looked at the card again with what seemed like recognition, maybe even respect. Please come with me, Mr. Mitchell, he said, his voice suddenly much more formal. He led me through the main banking floor, past the teller windows and customer service desks, into a private office in the back of the building. The office had thick carpet, leather chairs, and a massive wooden desk that probably cost more than my truck. Mr. Bradley closed the door behind us and gestured for me to sit down. Then he walked around to his side of the desk and inserted my father's card into a machine I'd never seen before. It looked like a credit card reader, but more sophisticated with a small computer screen attached. The machine made a few soft beeping sounds, and then the screen lit up. That's when everything changed. Numbers appeared on the screen. Mr. Bradley leaned closer to read them, then closer still. His face slowly lost all color, like someone had drained the blood right out of his cheeks. He blinked several times, rubbed his eyes, and looked at the screen again. Sir, he whispered, his voice barely audible, I think you should sit down. I was already sitting, but I gripped the arms of my leather chair a little tighter. He swallowed hard, loosened his tie, and turned the computer screen so I could see it. When I saw the numbers on that screen, I felt the entire world tilt sideways. At first, I thought I was reading it wrong. My eyes felt blurry. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. There were more zeros than I'd ever seen in my life attached to a bank account. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, millions, multiple millions. Mr. Bradley, I said slowly, my voice shaking, please tell me this is real. He nodded, still staring at the screen like he couldn't quite believe it himself. Sir, this is very real. This account has existed for over 30 years. It's grown through investments your father set up long ago through a network of holding companies and trust funds. My father, Leonard Harper, the man who came home every evening with grease under his fingernails and oil stains on his work shirts. The man who drove a 15-year-old pickup truck until the day he died because he said it still ran fine. The man who taught me that the most important thing in life was honest work and treating people with respect. How could he have accumulated something like this? There's more, sir, Mr. Bradley continued, opening another file on his computer. The account isn't just cash. There are also shares in several companies, real estate holdings and investment portfolios. But there's one company in particular that your father wanted you to understand if you ever used this card. My stomach started to feel strange. What company? Mr. Bradley clicked through several screens, bringing up what looked like corporate ownership documents. Harper Engineering, he said quietly. The company you think is just a family business that your son works for. What you don't know, Mr. Mitchell, is that through a complex network of holding companies and investment groups, this account controls the majority ownership of Harper Engineering. I stopped breathing for a moment. Harper Engineering, the company my father had started in a small garage. The company where Carl worked. The company Patricia had been asking questions about. The company Nathan had been so interested in learning about. How much of the company? I asked. 61%, Mr. Bradley answered. Your father quietly bought back shares over the years through anonymous investment groups. Legally speaking, you are the majority owner of Harper Engineering, and you have been for over a decade. The room started to spin a little. For 35 years, I'd been the quiet husband, the supportive partner, the man who retired early to care for his dying father. I'd let Patricia take control of our finances, make the important decisions, plan our future. But the truth was something completely different. The company she thought she could manipulate, the business Nathan thought he could somehow get his hands on, was actually mine. Mr. Bradley, I said carefully, trying to keep my voice steady, there's something I need to tell you. My wife is divorcing me. She's been meeting with people about Harper Engineering. I think she's planning something with her boyfriend, something that involves the company. Mr. Bradley leaned forward in his chair. Does she know about this account? I shook my head. No. According to what my father told me, she's never even seen this card. And I never used it until today. Mr. Bradley nodded thoughtfully. Then she has no idea that you're the actual owner of Harper Engineering. She probably thinks it's still owned by those anonymous investment groups your father set up. That's not all, sir, Mr. Bradley continued. Your father left specific instructions about what to do if you ever activated this account. He recorded a message for you many years ago. My chest suddenly felt tight. A message from my father after all these years? Yes, sir. He was very insistent that if you ever needed to use this card, there were things you needed to understand about your situation. Would you like to hear the recording? I nodded, not trusting my voice to work properly. Mr. Bradley clicked a button on his computer, and the office speakers made a small crackling sound. Then I heard a voice I hadn't heard in 5 years, a voice I'd missed more than I'd realized. Albert, my father said, and just hearing him say my name made tears spring to my eyes instantly. If you're hearing this message, my father's voice continued, soft and calm, just like I remembered, then it means you finally needed help. I'm sorry it had to come to that. Mr. Bradley quietly stepped out of the office to give me privacy, closing the door softly behind him. Your mother and I always worried about you, Al. The recording went on. You have a big heart. You trust people easily, sometimes too easily. The money in that account is yours, son. I created it for you a long time ago, built it up slowly over the years through careful investments and smart business decisions. But it's not just money. There are also shares in several companies, and there's one company in particular you need to understand very carefully. I leaned closer to the speakers, hanging on every word. Harper Engineering, the company you think belongs to other people, the company where Carl works, the company that some folks might try to take advantage of. What Patricia doesn't know, what nobody knows except the lawyers and bankers, is that I've been buying back control of my own company for years through investment groups. My heart stopped beating for a moment. If you're hearing this message, it probably means something went very wrong in your marriage. I hoped it would never come to this, but if Patricia ever mistreats you, if she ever tries to take what's yours, remember this truth: you're not the powerless one. The recording paused, and I could hear my father take a deep breath. Then he said the words that made my entire world shift into a completely different reality. Albert, through those shares and investment structures, you quietly became the majority owner of Harper Engineering years ago, 61% to be exact. The company isn't owned by strangers, son. It's owned by you. My hands started shaking. Patricia's meetings with Nathan, their questions about Harper Engineering, their plans to somehow get involved with the company after our divorce. They thought they were going to manipulate or buy a business that already belonged to me. The recording ended with my father's final words, spoken in the gentle voice I remembered from bedtime stories when I was little. Don't use this power for anger, Al. Use it only if you must protect yourself. I love you, son. The office went silent. Mr. Bradley returned a few minutes later and found me sitting there with tears on my cheeks. Are you all right, sir? I nodded slowly, but my mind was racing with possibilities I'd never imagined. Mr. Bradley, I said, I need to ask you something important. Does anyone else know about this account? Does Patricia know I own Harper Engineering? He shook his head firmly. No, sir. Your father was very careful about anonymity. All the ownership documents list holding companies and trust structures. As far as anyone knows, Harper Engineering is owned by a group of anonymous investors. Over the next 3 months, I did something I'd never done before in my life. I planned, really carefully planned. I hired a private investigator named Mr. Victor to document Patricia's activities. I met with a lawyer to understand exactly what evidence I would need to protect myself, and I watched everything unfold. The investigator's reports came in weekly, each one more damaging than the last. Photos of Patricia and Nathan at expensive restaurants, holding hands, kissing in parking lots. Recordings of phone conversations where Patricia called me dead weight and said I was a burden she should have dumped years ago. But the most shocking discovery came from our shared computer at home. Patricia had been using our home computer for her email, thinking I was too old and clueless to check her messages. I found months of correspondence between her and Nathan, planning exactly how they were going to acquire Harper Engineering at below market value once our divorce was final. Nathan claimed he had investor connections who could purchase the company for 30 cents on the dollar because the current owners needed quick cash. The plan was simple and cruel. Patricia would use her position as my wife to approach the supposed owners of Harper Engineering, claiming that I needed money fast to pay divorce settlement costs. Nathan would provide the financing through his investor network, and they'd split the profits 50-50 once the purchase went through and they could resell the company for its real value. But the most damaging evidence was financial. Patricia had been systematically transferring money from our joint accounts to Nathan's consulting business. $5,000 over 8 months disguised as payments for business consulting services that never actually existed. She was literally paying Nathan to help her steal from me. The confrontation happened on a Tuesday morning in October. I'd arranged an emergency board meeting at Harper Engineering, telling the staff there were critical ownership issues that needed immediate attention. Patricia had no idea I'd be there. She thought it was just another consulting meeting with Nathan about their acquisition plans. I arrived early and met with the board members, Mr. Howard, the chief financial officer, Mrs. Carroll from operations, and Mr. Eugene, the head of engineering. When I showed them my documentation proving ownership, their faces went white with shock. "Mr. Mitchell," Mr. Howard said slowly, "we had no idea you were Leonard's heir. We've been trying to contact the ownership group for years about important company decisions." When Patricia walked into the conference room with Nathan, both of them carrying briefcases and wearing confident smiles, she saw me sitting at the head of the polished oak table and stopped dead in her tracks. "Albert, what are you doing here?" Nathan looked confused and annoyed. "This is supposed to be a private meeting." I smiled calmly and gestured to the empty chairs across from me. "Hello, Patricia. Hello, Nathan. Please have a seat. We need to discuss some irregularities in Harper Engineering's ownership structure." Patricia's eyes narrowed with suspicion. "What kind of irregularities?" That's when I opened the folder in front of me and slid the first document across the table. "Well, for starters, this record shows $125,000 in unauthorized transfers from our joint account to Nathan's consulting firm. That's called embezzlement." The room went dead silent. The rest happened quickly. The FBI Financial Crimes Unit arrived within an hour. Nathan was arrested on charges of investment fraud and money laundering. Patricia lost her job that same day, and I finally understood what my father had been trying to protect me from all along. Patricia thought she was marrying a weak man who would fade away quietly, but what she didn't understand was that sometimes the quietest people carry the strongest protections. I never wanted revenge, I just wanted justice. But as I learned that day in the bank, sometimes they're the same thing.